So welcome everyone to another video from Crafty Carol. I've rather lost what week it is. I think, is it week 9 this week or week 8? I think it's week 8. And I'm using this gorgeous stamp set, which is Leaves of Holly. Now, this week, things have been on offer. Not the things from the mini catalogue though, so just because this video's come out on Saturday, you haven't missed out getting it, but you can still buy it from the mini catalogue. It comes as a bundle. It's got all these gorgeous stamps, the 2 different sized leaves and 2 stamps to make up the leaves, which I'll show you, 2 stamps to make up the berry, season's greetings, Christmas wishes, from our home to yours, to friends near and far, joy and peace, or peace and joy, whichever way you want to put those round. And it comes with a set of dies. And these dies, sorry I'm a bit croaky today, I don't know why. These are the holly berry dies. From now on, all the dies are going to be called the same thing. I actually cut my sheet of dies because I want it to fit in with the stamp set. Where dies match the stamp set, I like to keep the dies with the stamp set. But this has got not only the leaves to cut out, either you can cut out like a skeleton leaf or just the outline of the leaf, skeleton berries or the outline of the berries. It's got this sentiment outline to cut, these sprigs, which are rather nice. This is a closed piece. This would cut a closed piece that goes behind this on this larger sentiment bit. I haven't used that in my project, but it is very nice if you want to have a look at some projects later or see some elsewhere on the internet. So what are we going to make? Well, the card we're going to make is this. Obviously stamp my envelope as well, but the card I'm going to make is this one, and I've used just about everything in it. I'm actually going to change it as we make it today because I didn't actually like these sprigs of the shaded spruce there. I'm going to change that. So let's have a look at how we're going to make it. Now, the DSP I've used as the background for the card, that is from the Boughs of Holly set. You can see I've used a lot of that sheet because I really like it. There are loads of other gorgeous papers in here, all again double-sided. So you've got pictures on the front and sort of more just general background things on the back. Some lovely poinsettias. That's very nice. As a paper to go. It's got mistletoe sprigs as well, so it actually matches the mistletoe magic set too, in my view. Anyway, I won't go too far. One thing I want to point out about the DSP is when you get the pack of DSP, it always says on the back the I don't know if this is close enough for you to read, hope so. It always gives the colours in the paper. So this one, for example, Boughs of Holly, it has cherry cobbler, evening evergreen, mossy meadow, old olive, poppy parade, etc, etc, etc. So shaded spruce is one of them, which is what I'm using. Okay, so where's all my bits? Let's get my bits all together. I've got my bits I'm going to cut out. So I've cut out already my base card. Ooh, lots of bits in here. Let me just move those over there. I've done quite a lot of preparation because there's a fair bit to this card. Now, for this card, I've actually cut it long ways. So I cut my sheet of A4 in half long ways at 10.5 centimetres, scored at 14.8 centimetres, and that's given me my base card. This one, the first one I made, I've actually cut the usual way, so it sits like that. And it does sit, it sits fine on a mantelpiece, but sometimes if you cut the card this way, they will tend to spread and they might not sit as well. So this type of card would sit like that, and I think is slightly better, but your choice. You don't have to worry too much about that. So I have cut my, I've already done my envelope, move that to the side. I have cut my piece of DSP to the front, just half a centimetre less all round. So the DSP is cut at 14.3 by 10. And I've also cut a piece for the inside, just very slightly smaller. I've cut this 14 by 9.5. So it fits in, and I've already stamped this to sit. Oh, I haven't got a mark on it, typical. I'm not going to show you my fingers, by the way, because I have been preparing some of this and I am covered in ink. So I'll try not to let you see too much of my fingers. So that's going to go inside. So I'm going to start by sticking that bit inside so I can stop leaving it lying around and risking getting any ink on it. So just using some Tombow, very simply. But I am not going to stick the front bit on because I'm going to do something else with it. So there we have the inside done. And on the front, I'm actually, oh, I'm going to use that side. I'm actually going to stick some ribbon on. So the way I stick ribbon on, I don't wrap it all the way around because it wastes ribbon, and I love this ribbon. This is another one of the ones, it's satin edged ribbon, and it's just beautiful, again in the mini catalogue. So I want to stick it along the front here. I'm going to show you how I make sure that that's straight. And I actually use, you can either use grid paper if you've got it, or even the edge of something, but you can use these lines on here to make it straight. So I want it to sit about that far up from the bottom, 2 of my little marks there, 2 of these marks, and hopefully you can, is that mark in my, yes it is, that's okay. So I've got my black line here which I can use, and I'm just going to use some of my tear and tape, and I'm going to make sure that I put it in the same place. So that's my top, that's my bottom. I want it near the bottom, and I want it these 2 or 4 of my little squares, 2 of my slightly bigger squares down. So I'm going to line my paper up with that line on my base here, and then I can use a little bit of tape, and if I stick it right against that black line, I know it's in the right place. So I'll do the other side as well in the same way. So I'm sticking it so that the ribbon itself will be straight along the front. So then I also want to, and I need another 2 up because I want to stick some along the middle. Not right along the middle, because I'm going to show you how I cheat and tie bows. I don't like to use, again, I want to get this straight in the middle, my bow over there. So I'm going to put it about there. So that's put all my pieces on to put the ribbon in place. So now I can, so she's trying to get the thing underneath. Why does this never work on cameras? Right, so now I can use this again to make sure I'm straight. Use one of the lines on here so I know I'm straight, and I can stick that bit of ribbon across there. It's quite stretchy ribbon, this one. It's very nice, but it's a little bit stretchy. There we go. And then when I turn this round, you can see that I can then make sure it's straight by making sure it's sticking over the middle of that tape at the back, and the same this side. So take my cover off, rid of those bits before they get in the rest of the project, and then make sure that my ribbon is straight. I know these are in the right place because I measured them, and that gives me my straight piece of ribbon on the front. It doesn't actually look that straight, but it is. It's straight enough. It doesn't actually straight this end. Let me just... The nice thing about ribbon and tear and tape is that you can actually adjust it. There we are, that's better. Yeah. I cut another small piece of ribbon, and that's why I didn't stick it all the way down here, because I want to slide that bit of ribbon in there, and then I'm going to tie a knot. So note to self and to you, do not cut this bit of ribbon too short. You want to have enough, so she's fiddling now, to be able to tie the knot, because you can always trim it afterwards. Now that will stay in place. If you want to stick it down, and I might with this because these bits are sticking up a bit too much for my liking, what I might do is use just glue dots to stick those down. So I'll trim that in a bit. The next thing I want to do is just stick that on the front, so that I've then got my card ready, my card base ready. So again, just using some Tombow, because as you know, or should know by now, I like to have wiggle room. So I'm going to stick that on the front of the card, just there like that. So there's my knot, which is really not very well tied for once. Bad. And I'm actually going to, I am going to use a glue dot, I think, to stick that down a bit, because I don't, yeah. So just get my glue dots. So I can use those just behind the ribbon just to hold it down. So I'm going to use one just here for that piece of trailing ribbon, and another one down here for this one. There. And then with my ribbon scissors, I always mark my ribbon scissors. I've got a little bit of just twine on this to show scissors that have got twine on. They are ribbon scissors. I do not use them for cutting paper. Always keep a pair of ribbon scissors. An important tip, because you really don't want your ribbon scissors to be blunt. So there is my base card already. Now as you can see in this, it's the stamp has two parts, and I'm going to show you how to get, and so do the berries, they've got sort of darker and lighter bits, and I'm going to show you how to do that with just one ink pad. So one ink pad, two different colours. So the ones I'm using for today are Shaded Spruce and Cherry Cobbler. I have already stamped my sentiment and cut it out. I've actually used the stitched rectangle dies to cut these out. So I've already prepared that, so we don't need to stamp that, but that's just stamped in Cherry Cobbler on a bit of Very Vanilla. So to do the berries and the leaves, let's do the berries first. So I've already prepared one and cut it out. How do I do this with just one ink pad? Don't I need two different colours of ink pad? No, I don't. What I do need is scrap paper. And then this isn't my old ink pad. I must get a new Cherry Cobbler one, actually, the new types. But hey, it's fine for now because it's still got plenty of ink. So this is my solid stamp, and I want this to be a little lighter than the edge bit, if you like. So what I'm going to do is ink it up as I would normally, but instead of stamping straight on the card, I am actually going to stamp off. This is called stamping off, and it means that you're going to stick the stamp on another sheet and then stick it on the card, and that gives you a paler colour. Okay, so these stamps stain. I'm going to have to clean them properly. It's fine. So that gives me a pale colour, and then if I come in with my edge stamp and ink that up, this time I'm not going to stamp off, sorry. And sorry, I might get my head a little bit in the way because I want to make sure this is lined up properly. And then if I stamp that in the fully inked stamp, can you see there how we've got the two colours just from the one ink pad? And that's called stamping off. It's a lovely technique. I'm going to use it again on the leaves as well. So those to one side and close my Cherry Cobbler. Get my Shaded Spruce out, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing for the leaves. You can see I've already prepared some because I don't want to bore you. So I'm going to start. Now this is my tip. I found this tip out because it's much harder to make sure the outline fits over the base. I actually do the outline first, then fill it in with the sort of, can you see the difference in the stamp? That's the outline leaf, and that's the sort of filled in leaf. You can feel it. It's got marks in it. It has got some texture, but this is the outline one. It's got much less. So the outline I want in the darker colour. So I'm inking it up on the Shaded Spruce, and I'm not going to stamp off. I don't need this one stamped off. So I'm just going to stamp that straight onto my sheet. And I need two leaves for this project. So we'll stamp another one here. So that is my two leaves. Let's clean that stamp set for it. My stamp's getting so stained. So my cleaning pad is so dirty, that's why I've got ink all over me. So now I'm going to fill these leaves in with the more solid leaf stamp. Again, I'm going to stamp it up, make sure it's covered in the ink. Not going to put it straight down because I've lost any variation then. So I stamp off, and then I can, again, sorry if I'm leaning over, but I want to line this up properly, or as close as I possibly can. And then I can press it down, and there you can see, hopefully, yeah. Oop, bring this up a bit closer to the camera to see. There, yeah, you can see the double colour. Yeah, so I'm going to do that again with the second leaf. Ink it up, stamp it off, and then lean over and get in your way again, just to make sure I am lined up. There we go. Yeah, slightly off that one. Never mind. It's when I cut it out, you won't notice anyway. So then I'm going to cut these out with the dies, with the holly dies, and because I'm not going to bore you with wandering off to do that, here are two, in best Blue Peter tradition. Blue Peter was a wonderful programme, wasn't it? Here's the ones I've prepared earlier. So hopefully you can see the dual colour of both the leaves there and the berries. Oh, ignore my dirty fingers, I wasn't going to show those. So you can see how with one ink pad you can actually get more than one colour, which is lovely. So then it's a matter of just putting this together. Now, just to say how I've done the inside, just stamp the season's greetings. I've done exactly the same things for the leaves for the inside. On the envelope, I have to say I didn't. I just stamped the base leaf just in shaded spruce on the envelope. Up to you if you want to be fiddly and do the two-tone thing again. So then it's just a matter of putting it all together. So I could have done this bit beforehand as well, but I didn't. Do I want to put those on dimensionals? No, I'll probably put the whole thing on. So we'll just stick that onto the base. This is the stitched rectangle dies. Beautiful things. They've got a lovely variety of shapes and sizes. Oh, go straight, thank you. There we go. Then I'm going to put dimensionals on that. I won't use that sheet, there's only one left on it. So one full up in the middle. So I'm going to put those, or put this rather, just above the ribbon. I don't want to hide the ribbon. The ribbon's far too nice, so I'm going to actually put. Normally, often I'll put a sentiment across a ribbon, but on this, I love this ribbon so much, I don't want to cover it up. And then it's a matter of putting the rest together. So you need to just fiddle around, decide where you want them to go. I think probably something like that. And I've got a few little, this is the gold distressed paper. It's just beautiful. Stop showing my filthy fingers. I'll put them in the back of my hand. It's the gold distressed paper. And it's just gorgeous. So I've just used the sprigs from the leaves of holly dies, or hollyberry dies they're called. And it's just lovely. So I've cut a few sprigs, 3 I think. On my first card I cut them in shaded spruce. Didn't like it so much. What am I looking for? The glue. Right, so I'm going to stick one leaf down flat and put the other on dimensionals. I'm just tucking the ends of the leaf behind my bow there, so I'm going to have one there. The other one's going to go on dimensionals so that it can overlap the sentiment a little bit. So I'll put that just like that there. And then my holly berries also I'm putting on a dimensional. Which way around do we have them? That way around. I am going to let that overlap the ribbon a little bit just to look okay. And then finally I've got these distressed gold fronds, I suppose you'd call them. Don't know. This is going to risk getting glue everywhere, but let's see. See if I could just tap it gently enough just to get a little bit of a splodge. Down there, there we go. Ooh, a little bit on the top there. So I'm just going to have these, because this is on dimensionals, again I can pop these behind. I think we'll have them coming out in a sort of fan from the middle here somewhere. So 2 there. And you see I haven't put glue on all of these, all of the frond, just bits of it. So I'll have them like that, I think. So some of it's going to stick up and just come up a little bit above the card, which is what I want. And there we have it. There is another idea for a card for Christmas for week 8 for my Christmas countdown. If you want the full instructions, they are in my blog at craftycarolscards.co.uk. Please go there. Please do sign up for my emails too, and you'll get even more information about what's going on and won't miss out on any news. And I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel too. Thank you to everybody who's already done that, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.